You think aging is what's hurting your performance? Think again, because the real damage may be happening while you sleep with your underwear on. The truth is, millions of men over 50 are silently losing their ability to get and maintain an erection, not because of age, but because of 5 simple daily habits they've never been warned about. And if you're ignoring them, your manhood could already be paying the price. In this video, I'll show you exactly what those habits are and how changing them could naturally restore firmness, stamina, and confidence without a single pill. If you've ever had questions or frustrations around this topic, drop a 1 in the comments below so I know you're with me. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for real no BS conversations that matter. Part 1, keeping your penis active. Let me ask you something personal but important. When you stop exercising your legs, what happens to your muscles? They shrink, they weaken, they stop responding the way they used to. Now, what do you think happens to your penis when you stop using it? Most men assume that erections are only about desire. But physiologically, an erection is a vascular event, just like a heartbeat or a pulse. It's your blood vessels, nerves, and smooth muscle tissue working together to trap blood and hold pressure. And just like every other physical system in your body, if you don't use it, you lose it. Inside your penis are 2 sponge-like structures, the corpora cavernosa, that fill with blood during arousal. That blood needs to be held in place by tiny venous valves, creating firmness. But if erections don't happen regularly, even just nocturnal ones during sleep, those tissues start to deteriorate. The sponge becomes stiff, the elasticity fades, the valves leak, and gradually your body forgets how to get hard. This isn't just theory. A 2008 study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that men who experienced a 6-month stretch without sexual activity or spontaneous erections had a 43% decrease in their erectile capacity. Why oxygen deprivation? The tissue literally atrophied, just like an unused muscle. Now, here's the good news. This is preventable, completely. The solution isn't complicated. It's consistency. You don't need to perform like a porn star. You just need to stay active. That can mean sex with a partner, ideally emotionally connected sex, not rushed or mechanical. Masturbation when done in a healthy way, not driven by compulsive porn use, but as a way to maintain circulation and response. Vacuum erection devices, VEDs, which are FDA approved and especially useful for men who aren't currently sexually active, but still want to preserve their function. And pelvic floor exercises like Kegels, which help control blood flow and prevent premature loss of firmness. So, what's the ideal frequency? For most men, over 42 to 3 erections per week, not necessarily orgasms. Just erections are enough to keep the penile tissue oxygenated and functional. But here's something many men don't realize: erections during sleep matter just as much as those during sex. If you're not waking up with morning wood at least a few times a week, that's a signal that your blood flow may already be compromised. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. He was 57, single, and convinced that abstaining would somehow preserve his energy or manhood. For 2 years, he had no sexual activity, no masturbation, no morning erections, nothing. By the time he came in, he couldn't achieve a full erection at all. His testosterone levels were normal, but when we did an ultrasound, we found significant fibrosis in his erectile tissue. The sponge had hardened, literally. No pill could reverse that. Here's the truth most men never hear. Erections are exercise. They're not optional. They're maintenance. Your penis is not exempt from the rules of biology, just like your heart, your lungs, your legs. If you stop using it, it stops working. So stay active, not just for your pleasure, but for your future. But staying active isn't enough if you're not also staying clean. Let's talk about hygiene, because neglect in that department can invite problems far worse than dysfunction. In fact, it can lead to cancer. Part 2, cleaning your penis properly. Let's be honest, most guys think they're clean enough, but when it comes to your penis, good enough hygiene can leave you vulnerable to something far worse than odor or irritation. I'm talking about infection, inflammation, and yes, even cancer. Take Brazil, for example. It has the highest rate of penile cancer in the world. And do you know what the common factor is in the majority of those cases? Poor hygiene, especially among uncircumcised men. Now, you don't have to live in Brazil to face that risk. If you're skipping basic hygiene down there, you're exposing yourself to chronic infections that over time can damage cells and trigger cancerous changes. And most of it starts with a substance you've probably never thought twice about: smegma. Smegma is a thick, whitish buildup of dead skin cells, oils, and moisture. It collects under the foreskin or around the glands. And it's the perfect breeding ground for bacteria, fungi, and viruses. Left unchecked, it can lead to balanitis, inflammation of the glands, phimosis, tight foreskin, chronic pain, and yes, cell damage that increases your risk of cancer. Here's what proper hygiene actually looks like. Use mild, fragrance-free soap. No harsh antibacterials. Those can irritate delicate skin. Gently pull back the foreskin if you have one, rinse thoroughly, and dry the area completely. Always rinse after sex. Vaginal fluids have a different pH from yours, and if left overnight, they can trigger infections. Dry with a clean towel every time. Reused damp towels is bacteria central, and absolutely no cologne sprays or scented wipes. This isn't about fragrance, it's about function. Some guys think scrubbing harder means cleaner, but aggressive washing can actually cause micro tears, tiny skin breaks that let bacteria in. The goal is consistency, not violence. And one more thing, if you're the kind of guy who falls asleep after sex without washing up, you need to stop immediately. Leaving fluids and sweat on your skin all night is like putting your penis in a petri dish and hoping nothing grows. Hygiene is your first line of defense. It's easy, it's free, and it might just save your manhood. But even if you're staying clean and keeping active, there's one silent mistake many men make that can leave a permanent scar, literally. Let's talk about what happens when you try to have sex before you're fully hard, and why it can permanently change the shape of your penis. Part 3. Avoid having sex before you're fully hard. Let's get something straight, literally. You might think having sex before you're fully erect just makes the experience less enjoyable. But what if I told you it could be the beginning of a condition that slowly bends, stiffens, and eventually breaks your ability to perform? I'm talking about Peyronie's disease, a surprisingly common and devastating condition that many men over 50 are developing without even realizing it, and one of the biggest triggers having sex while only partially hard. When your penis is semi-erect, the spongy chambers inside, called the corpora cavernosa, aren't fully filled with blood. That means they're soft, pliable, and vulnerable. During penetration or even moderate thrusting, a partially erect penis can bend unnaturally. And each of those bends creates microtrauma, tiny injuries deep inside the tissue. Your body, trying to repair the damage, lays down scar tissue, fibrous, rigid tissue that doesn't stretch like the original. Do this enough times, and that scar tissue builds up in ways that permanently alter the shape, flexibility, and even the sensation of your erection. And here's the terrifying part: Peyronie's doesn't happen all at once. It sneaks up on you subtly, silently. It often starts with a dull ache during or after sex, barely noticeable curve during erection, a small, firm lump beneath the skin of your shaft. You ignore it because that's what most men do. Until over time, that curve becomes a bend, that ache becomes sharp, that lump becomes a barrier to blood flow. And before you know it, the mechanics of sex are no longer within your control. Statistically, about 1 in 10 men over 50 have some degree of Peyronie's disease, but the actual number may be higher because many never talk about it or even know it has a name. Let me be crystal clear. If you're not fully hard, don't force penetration. Don't try to just finish for the sake of getting it done. That one moment of ego or impatience could result in permanent damage. Instead, pause, stimulate more, use foreplay, breathe, let your body catch up. And if your erection consistently falls short of where it used to be, go see a doctor, because waiting only compounds the damage. There's another layer to this too. What if the reason you're not fully erect isn't physical? What if your brain is so overstimulated, so hijacked by artificial arousal, that real-life sex just doesn't do it for you anymore? That brings us to one of the quietest, most modern threats to male sexual health. Let's talk about porn. Part 4. Cutting back on porn use. I'm going to say something that might make some people uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. Porn is not harmless. Not for the average man watching it every now and then. and especially not for the millions of men who rely on it daily just to feel aroused. In the last 15 years, the rate of erectile dysfunction in men under 40 has doubled, and not because they're overweight, diabetic, or aging. It's because their brains have been rewired to react to novelty, speed, endless variety, and over-the-top stimulation instead of a real human being. In 2016, JAMA Psychiatry published a study that showed men who watched high levels of porn had reduced gray matter in the brain's reward center, the part responsible for pleasure, motivation, and yes, sexual desire. In simple terms, the more porn you watch, the less your brain is able to feel pleasure from natural, real-life intimacy. Let's break down what happens. You watch porn, your brain releases dopamine, a feel-good chemical. You repeat the behavior. Dopamine spikes again. Your brain adapts, it raises the threshold. Now you need more intense content to get the same feeling. Eventually, regular arousal, like from touch kissing or even seeing your partner naked, feels dull. Your brain no longer associates pleasure with human intimacy. It associates it with the screen. That leads to performance anxiety, low libido with your partner, difficulty maintaining or even achieving an erection during real sex, shame, isolation, and in many cases, depression. And here's the most dangerous part. Most men don't know. Porn is the problem because they can still get aroused, just not with a real person. So what's the solution? It's called a dopamine detox. 21 days completely free of porn, no exceptions. No just 5 minutes. No just to relax. During this time, your brain begins to reset, to resensitize. You start to notice your partner again. You get turned on by eye contact, a hand on your thigh, a kiss on the neck. You remember what it's like to feel real intimacy. But detox isn't just about quitting. It's about replacing. Move your body. Go outside, meditate, connect, sleep, build real relationships. These things don't spike dopamine the same way porn does, but they heal the nervous system that porn wears down. And look, I'm not judging you. I've had patients, good men, who were addicted for years without realizing it. What matters is what you do now. Because porn may be easy, but intimacy is powerful. And if you want long-term, real, satisfying sexual connection, you'll have to reclaim the wiring in your brain. Now that you understand the brain-body connection, let's zoom out. Let's look at the rest of your body, your heart, your lungs, your gut. Because your lifestyle, what you eat, drink, breathe, and believe, is quietly shaping your ability to perform. Coming up, next, the everyday habits that are either building or breaking your sexual future. Part 5, lifestyle habits that make or break your performance. Let's zoom out for a second. We've talked about erections, about tissue health, about stimulation and the brain. But here's a hard truth that many men still don't realize. Your penis is only as healthy as your heart, lungs, and liver. In fact, erectile dysfunction is often the very first warning sign of something far more dangerous, cardiovascular disease. Let me say that again. According to the Cleveland Clinic, in over 70% of heart attacks in men, the patient had already been experiencing erectile issues for 3 to 5 years before the cardiac event. Why? Because the arteries in your penis are smaller than the ones in your heart. So when plaque builds up, you'll feel it down there first. If your erection is weak or unreliable, that's not just about testosterone. It could be a circulation problem and your body's trying to warn you. So what's damaging that system? Let's start with the obvious: smoking. Cigarettes constrict your blood vessels, including the ones feeding your penis. They also damage the lining of your arteries called the endothelium, making it harder for blood to flow and stay where it needs to. Even a few cigarettes a week can cause erectile issues over time. Alcohol is another culprit. Occasional drinking, probably fine. But regular or heavy drinking interferes with the brain-to-penis communication that controls arousal. It suppresses the central nervous system, slows hormone signaling, and even shrinks the testes over time. Long-term, it can lead to liver damage, which reduces testosterone production and increases estrogen levels. Then there's obesity, especially belly fat. Belly fat isn't just fat, it's hormonally active. It literally converts testosterone into estrogen. The more fat you carry around your waist, the more your masculinity is being chemically eroded every day. Obesity also comes hand in hand with insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, and type 2 diabetes, all of which damage nerves and blood vessels. including those critical for erections. But here's the good news. You can turn this around, and it doesn't take a complete lifestyle overhaul. It takes consistency in the basics. Start with your diet. The Mediterranean diet, rich in olive oil, fish, leafy greens, and nuts, has been clinically shown to support cardiovascular health and increase natural testosterone levels. Cut back on refined sugars and processed carbs. These inflame blood vessels and spike insulin, both of which hurt performance. Then move your body. You don't need to become a marathon runner. Just aim for 150 minutes of cardio per week. That's 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week, walking, biking, swimming, dancing, anything that gets your heart rate up. Add in light resistance training 2 to 3 times a week to preserve muscle and stimulate testosterone. And finally, sleep and stress. Lack of sleep drops testosterone levels within just a few nights. Chronic stress raises cortisol, a hormone that directly suppresses testosterone and hijacks your nervous system. If you're not sleeping at least 7 hours per night and finding some way to release stress, whether through breathing meditation or healthy connection, you're fighting an uphill battle. Because at the end of the day, sexual performance isn't just about arousal, it's about oxygen, circulation, hormone balance, neural readiness. You can be 60 years old and perform like you're 35 if your blood vessels and hormone systems are taken care of like they were 35. But there's one more thing, a small silent habit most men never think twice about. And it happens every single night while you sleep. Let's talk about your underwear. Part 6. Bonus. Why sleeping without underwear can protect your manhood. Here's something no one tells you, but every man needs to know. Your penis does a lot of its maintenance while you're asleep. In a healthy man, there are 3 to 5 spontaneous erections during the night, usually during REM sleep. These erections aren't about dreams or arousal. They're your body's way of pumping fresh oxygenated blood into the erectile tissue. Think of it as your penis doing its own internal workout, keeping the tissues elastic, the blood vessels open, and the nerve pathways firing. But what happens if night after night that erection runs into resistance? Tight underwear, especially briefs or form-fitting boxers, puts pressure on the shaft during those nocturnal erections. The compression may seem small, but it happens dozens of times a week. And over time, that repeated pressure can cause microtrauma to the tissues, leading to scar formation, reduced elasticity, and even long-term curvature. Peyronie's again. Even worse, if you sleep on your stomach or with heavy blankets pinning your pelvis down, the pressure on your erect penis can become significant without you ever realizing it. The solution? Sleep commando. No underwear. Let your body breathe. Let your erections happen freely and naturally. If you're not comfortable with that, wear loose-fitting boxers made of soft cotton. Avoid anything tight or synthetic. Also consider how you sleep. Try lying on your back or side instead of face down. Use lighter blankets. Let your body move. It may sound like a small thing, but it adds up. Night after night, year after year, this one habit can mean the difference between a penis that stays strong into your 60s and one that silently deteriorates without you noticing. One small change, just removing your underwear before bed, can protect your erections for years to come. Because now you know sexual vitality isn't just about testosterone or medication. It's about the micro decisions you make daily and nightly. And next in our final section, I'll help you connect all these lessons together and give you one final natural science-backed trick to kickstart results faster than you ever thought possible. Here's the truth. Your strength isn't fading because you're aging. It's fading because of habits you didn't even know were hurting you. But now you do. And that means you can take control starting today. Drop a 1 in the comments if you've ever faced any of this. No, you're not alone, and this is the place to start the conversation. Like the video if it helped. Subscribe for more straight talk like this, real, practical, no shame. And share this with someone you care about. Take care of yourself. See you in the next one.